The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Hello and welcome to the May Recruiting Insider. I am wondering if everybody can hear me. It said attendees are in listen-only mode. Hopefully you can hear me now. Somebody will shoot me a message and tell me. That would be great. So yes, we can. Thank you very much. Appreciate that. Yeah, webinar in my ear said attendees are in listen-only mode, and I was a little bit concerned about that. So, hey, I want to give a thank you very much, Wade, and I saw that you were one of the very first people signed in today, you and Nathan Felton, and want to give a shout out to you guys and also to Tim Burke, and just saw a few names there, and I saw Wendy Bartz as well, and folks, thank you so much for signing in. And today we have a special guest with us, and it is Ron Goode from the Truckload Carriers Association. And I'm going to go ahead and come over to his slide. And I've asked Ron to join us. He is the Director of Education for the Truckload Carriers Association, and there is an event coming up called the Workforce Builders Conference. And I want everybody to know next month's Recruiting Insider call is going to happen from the Workforce Builders Conference. It's going to be a live event. It's at 3:30 on June 13th, and the panel discussion, I'll be moderating a panel on revelations of the professional driver. And so wanted to bring Ron in to tell us about the Workforce Builders Conference. And Ron, welcome, sir.
Thank you very much, Kelly. I'm so happy to be here, and I'm so glad to see. I'm sure many TCA members are on this webinar, and thank you for your invitation, and also thank you for agreeing to present at the Workforce Builders Conference. We're very excited about this conference. It's the second one that TCA has done, and excuse me, sorry. The Workforce Builders Conference is the only conference of its kind for our industry. It takes a deeper and broader look at human resources issues that motor carriers face for all areas of their operation. Our theme, the theme of the conference is more than recruitment and retention, HR strategy, and that's because we look deeper at all issues related to a carrier's operation, related to their workforce. Of course, yes, we cover recruiting and retaining drivers, also diesel technicians, but also your entire workforce. Finding people to bringing new people into the industry. Helping people find their career path within your organization so that you can retain, the best people in, for your company. And so that's the, purpose of the Workforce Builders Conference. And this conference is also a key component of accreditation program that TCA has created to help people, earn their professional development in many areas. And so we, use the conference with 4 different learning tracks so that people can earn the credits they need to get their certificate. And the other thing is that we want carriers to learn from each other. So some of the key things that we're having in this conference is a networking in the round session where, the participants take, they have 90 minutes to participate in about 3 different moderated discussion topics on their choosing. There'll be about 20 topics, and they get to choose 3, and every 25 minutes or so they'll switch topics and sit with a different group of people and share their ideas, share their struggles, and help each other. And I understand that Matt's going to be one of the table moderators, so we're happy to have him join us for that. The other thing is about 95% of all of our workshops have carrier presenters that are playing a major part in presenting the information, so carriers can learn from their colleagues. So we're very excited about this. Also, we would like to, I don't see the code. Can you go back to the code? There's a code. If anyone listening that wants to attend the Workforce Builders Conference, there's a discount code that you can use when you register, and I don't see it right now on the slide, So we'll have
You know
to,
what? I don't think I got that, and if I did, I missed it, Ron. So, folks, Ron, you probably don't know that code off the top of your head, do you?
No, I sure don't, sir. I apologize. I don't.
You know what we'll do, Ron? When we send everybody the follow-up on this webinar, we will put the code in the email on the follow-up to this webinar to everybody.
Excellent. Excellent. Thank you. That would be a big help, because we really like to give your listeners a discount to register for this amazing and wonderful conference. If all else fails, they can reach me. My email address was up there. It's my first initial last name at truckload.org. There we go. So they can always write me as well. If they have questions or need help, I'm happy to assist in any way. Thank you, Kelly, very much for this opportunity.
You bet. Yeah, what is the discount? It's like $50 discount, registration discount or something that you're giving to our listeners?
That's right. So if they're a TCA member, it'll take 50 off the TCA member rate. If they're a non-member, it'll take 50 off the non-member rate. That is exactly right.
Man, Ron, thank you so much for that, and we look forward to seeing you here in a couple of weeks out there in Kansas City, which isn't very far from me, 150 miles north, since Matt and I hang out down here in Joplin, in the Joplin area. And so you guys see it's going to be at the Argosy Casino Hotel and Spa there in Riverside, Kansas, which is basically Kansas City. And you can check it all out at growyourworkforce.com. So next month is going to be an hour-long recruiting insider, because it is live from the Workforce Builders, and it's a live panel discussion. And I'm going to work it up where you guys can ask questions. So we'll not only take live questions and participation from the audience, but we'll be able to take questions from the Recruiting Insider listeners that aren't able to attend as well. So again, Ron, thank you very much. We look forward to being there, and it's going to be a lot of fun. And folks, Ron had a little throat issue going on today. I know it was painful him doing this call, but I appreciate him making it happen. With that, we better move on down the agenda. Matt Lee from Ramsey Media Works is with us again today, as he is almost every month. I think he missed 1 month, and I'll never let him forget that. But and folks, you appreciate that, I know. But and folks, before we get going, if you haven't, I mentioned every time, if you haven't watched recruitingsessions.com, those things we call them edutain, and Ramsey is frankly, they know trucking, and they're on the leading edge of truck driver recruitment advertising, and they have created some educational videos all wrapped around how-to on advertising, and they're also very entertaining. I sat and watched every one of them because it's so fun. What is he going to do next? So look forward to, I would invite you guys to look at that, and if you're having any struggles finding the drivers that you need, I would hope that you at least give Matt a chance to show you what he can do. It doesn't cost anything to have the conversation, and frankly, you're pretty glad that you did. With that being said, Matt, talk to us.
I appreciate that, Kelly, and always appreciate this opportunity to be here. Today, we are going to put on our chef's hat. We're going to talk about the 3 R's of ad measure, and it's actually from our blog series that's on our landing page, and I'm going to give you that address at the very end, but it's a series called Measuring Advertising Like a Chef. And so we actually, in our ad mix, when we're doing all of our advertising, we can and should measure every ingredient of that mix. But we're ultimately measuring just 3 things. And those 3 things are the 3 R's, which is recognition, response, and return. And all 3 matter, but they're progressively more important. So let's jump in here. We're going to start with recognition, which recognition basically answers whether drivers know you're open for business. And it measures general awareness of your company and jobs. And so some examples of being able to measure recognition would be page visits and activities. So you can get that through Google Analytics. So how many people are actually visiting your landing page? And what are they doing while they're there? Another example, if you're running any sort of a pay-per-click type of a campaign, how many impressions did you get, or clicks, or what was the actual click-through rate where you came in from an ad into the landing page, and did they take action? And then the third example that I've put here is if you're doing a social media campaign, how many likes and comments did you receive from that particular campaign? So those are just some examples of ways that we can actually measure the recognition. So the second R is response. So it's going to answer whether drivers are ordering what you're serving. It measures reaction or inaction to your job ads. So some examples there are going to be the number of leads or applications or phone calls that are coming in, and we're able now. There's technologies out there to be able to track all of this information, so we know exactly what we're getting as far as the ads response. We're going to be able to determine what the cost per lead or applicant is. And then in social media, in the social media example, how many follows did we get? How many people actually are joining our community out there through social media? Whether that be, there's a lot of different social media tools out there, Facebook being the biggest and probably the most popular, and it's becoming more and more popular and more of a recruiting and retention tool in the trucking industry every day. And so the third and final R, which is the most important, is what is our return? And so it's going to answer whether your efforts are paying off. It's going to measure long-term value instead of short-term cost. And here's the kicker. It requires analyzing advertising and employee data. So it's going to get a little bit more down into the weeds as far as being able to really analyze this data. And so some examples there are the number of hires that we received by source. And what is that cost per hire by source? So we could determine whether or not that's a good fit for us. The second would be the retention and turnover rates. So which sources are bringing us the best candidates? This particular source may be bringing us a whole lot of hires, but you know what? They're bailing in that first 90 days. So being able to determine, hey, this particular source is bringing us quality hires, quality employees that are going to stay for the long term. And then the third would be employee referrals. Is this employee or is this applicant that I'm getting turning into a great employee that's actually referring drivers back to our company? So those are just some things that I wanted to talk about today and ways to measure. Again, it kind of gets down into the weeds there in return, but there are tools today that allow us to be able to track all of the 3 R's. And if you would like, I would recommend that you go to our website, which is ramseymediaworks.com/blog. You can find a lot more. This is actually part 1 of a part 4 series. So it gets a lot more in depth, and I hope that you get over there and check that out. With that, I'll turn it back to you, Kelly.
Hey, Matt, thank you so much, and appreciate your effort every month in contributing to this call. Folks, about 2 weekends ago, I was sitting in a hotel in San Diego, and I saw a news article blast up, and number one was saying that we are at a decade-low unemployment. And the second thing is economists consider that the United States is at full employment at this time. So it's interesting, the next couple of weeks, or the last week and a half, my phone has been ringing, hey, I need help. And so just absolutely booked with helping fleets, streamline their recruiting process, lower their turnover rate. I've got 30 managers I'm doing management coaching and training with. And actually, Travis, I saw that you were signed in here from Oregon. He's one of my guys, and I don't take that lightly at all. That people are utilizing me in that way, and we're making a huge difference. And I know Matt has got 4 major fleets that he's bringing online, and just, I'm telling you, it's hitting, guys. We've been talking about this driver shortage, and it's grabbing another gear. And I'm getting some phone calls from people you would never expect to be calling, people that have jobs that their drivers are home every night. I've got one client, their drivers are home every night, off every weekend, and make $85,000 a year. And they're having trouble finding drivers, and we're fixing that for them. So if you're having trouble finding drivers, you're not alone. But folks, you don't have to be struggling, and that's, I think, just segues nicely into what I'm about to talk about here. You've heard me talk before, and I find that most recruiters are recruiting the people that want to be recruited. Matter of fact, I've got an application out right now. One of the fleets called and says, "Hey, one of the things I want you to do is test our process." And I'm like, "That's part of what I do. And then I want you to come in here and tell me how to streamline this process." And yes, I can help you fix your department. And then next, I want you to train my folks. Folks, I've got an application out right now. Actually, there's 3 of my staff. We're all CDL holders that we've all 3 done applications for different locations and different jobs, and we've not been called back. One is a retired owner-operator from 30-some-odd years, then been driving company truck for the last year and a half. Perfect record, has not been called back. You know, me, 19 years, same company, no tickets, no accidents, no criminal, and have not been called back. What's happening? They're doing what a lot of people do. They're only recruiting the people that want to be recruited. And that means that the driver that keeps calling back, "Hey, where's my app? Where are you at? You know, are we doing anything?" And the other thing is many recruiters are non-committal. And you know, well, okay, yeah, fill the application and I'll call you back some point. And they don't. And folks, if a driver's looking for a job, he's going to keep looking for a job until he has a reason to quit looking for a job, and we talked about that in last month's call. So on this phone call, and this is kind of taking that, you know, part 2 of creating an urgency, we have got to give them a reason to get on a plan with us, stop making phone calls to other people, and talk about a specific orientation date. And that's where we're going right here. So first off, we've got to answer the call. You've already read the screen, I'm sure. And we, through call tracking and the other tracking mechanisms that we have today, we can tell that over 50% of callers hang up if they receive a voicemail or auto attendant. Our recruiting lines have got to ring to real people that get answered. When I was over recruiting at CFI, the recruiting line went through my recruiters. And then it would hunt through the associates, you know, the processors that helped with recruiting. And if they didn't answer, then it hit my phone. And if I didn't answer, it hit every manager's phone in all of CFI safety and landed on my vice president's desk. Why? Because the most important thing we can do is capture that phone call and get that driver in one of our trucks. And I got to tell you, my vice president took a lot of pride in walking down with the phone application that he completed. And but I can tell you, he also told me I better never ever catch a phone call and look down there and see you guys not answering your phones. That never happened. I don't want to know how bad that would have been for me. So, secondly, and Matt put this research together, if you answer an internet lead within 5 minutes, you are 900% more likely to recruit the driver. And he is so urgent about this. I don't know what word I want to use. It is so important that, you know, we have tracked the time from that a driver hits a mini app submit to the time it populates some of the ATS systems, applicant tracking systems out there, and we have found that the lag from hit submit on a landing page till it implements and integrates and shows up on your dashboard on your applicant tracking system exceeds 5 minutes. So he not only sends it there, but also sends you an email. That's how crazy we are about this, and that's frankly how competitive this is, because we want to catch the guy, the applicant, while they're still on the phone or still, you know, on the website, checking out your information, because they're available right then. And so you pick it up and start a conversational recruiting technique, you're 900% more likely to recruit that driver. Every time I start a conversation with an applicant, I need to have, if you have an applicant tracking system, have it open. You know, like 10th Street, you can have the Intella app open, and the conversation starts. Hey, I wonder if you're hiring drivers, or I'm calling the guy. Hey, John, I just got your mini app sent in here. Just wanted to reach out and give you a call. How you doing? Well, pretty good. Well, John, tell me a little about yourself. Where you been working? What you been doing? And I'm starting the Intella app as I'm talking to the guy. And so I could get their name. You know, John, tell me a little about yourself. Where you been working? What you been doing? Well, his answer to that question, by the way, tells you, you know, owner, operator, a company driver, or an experience. I've been driving for the last 19 years, and I'm working over here at Bubba's, and it's not working out. So I'm just capturing this. That type of information on the Intella app, I'd put up in the upper right-hand corner in that little box. 19 years, Bubba's. Well, how long you been there? Why is it not working out? Jot that in there and have a conversation with them. The reason he's leaving there is where the rubber meets the road. That's what his need is. And so I reach into my bowl of candy that describes all the different benefits of working for my company, and I offer him that piece of candy that meets that need that he's looking for. When you offer somebody something they like, they're going to accept it. It doesn't do any good to be talking about all these other flavors if they don't like that flavor. And it's shortened because they don't need to know everything. What they need to know is what's important to them. So I start the one-page application on whether it's on electronic or paper, because now it allows us to track the disposition of every single lead. What I like about the tracking that Ramsey does, you know, through their microsites, you know, the landing pages and websites and Google Analytics and call tracking is, and frankly, if you have an ATS, if you'll give them access just to that disposition section, reporting to us is everything, because it doesn't do any good to waste money on leads that aren't generating results. And once we know where the results are, we know how to tweak the advertising throughout the month to get us more of the results that we're looking for. So, you know, and when you think about leads, you have people, they don't qualify. They're never going to qualify. Send them on down the road. You have some that don't qualify now, but they're going to qualify later. Most recruiters will say, well, John, I tell you what, that ticket, I can't hire you for 6 months because of that ticket. So call me in June. Guys, in 6 seconds, he doesn't care about you anymore and is not going to think about you. My answer to him is, oh, man, John, everything was looking good except for that one ticket. And in 6 months, it's going to drop off, and everything else is great. If nothing else changes, it's all good. I'm going to tell you what, on June 12th at 8 a.m., when your phone rings, just say, hello, Kelly, because it's me calling. We've got to take ownership in the follow-up. So diary it, make your notes, change the status of the application, and diary it for follow-up so that nobody, see, one of my principles is nobody comes out of my system until I decide they come out of my system. And I do that by changing my disposition of the application and by dating it to come back, diarying it to come back to me. You have some people that are out of your current area. You want to capture those leads, because I bet you half of you on this call, or more, have had the president walk down to your office and say, hey, listen, we're going to start hiring in Charlotte. How long do you need to get me 12 drivers in Charlotte? Isn't it nice to be able to go into your database and query, those drivers that applied previously? Now, really, the chance of them saying, oh, man, I was just hoping you'd call today, are pretty slim to none. But you know what? If you got a database, you got some people to reach out to immediately, then we can turn on some advertising pretty quick. That's the neat thing about digital advertising. We can turn something on like almost immediately, and we can start filling that need. Next are those that qualify. And those that qualify, we need to get my computer to go to the next screen. There we go. So those that qualify, we need to start creating a plan of action. First off is setting an orientation date. Man, John, based on what I'm seeing here, I don't see any reason we couldn't take this next step. Matter of fact, sounds like you'd want to start like on the 17th. See, a lot of recruiters don't show acceptance. They're ambiguous. Well, yeah, if you fill the app out and you know, we'll call you back. Okay. Drivers, as I said last month, would rather be eating, sleeping, driving, playing Sky Crane for stuffed animals, or spending time with their family. But they're making these phone calls because they have a financial need, and they have a financial need, they have a time off need. Something's not working where they're currently at, and they're looking for an answer to that. And once they have that answer, they will stop making other phone calls. I'm going to give them that answer. If I have that answer. If I don't, I'm going to tell them I don't, shake their hand, maybe, you know, send them over, hey, you need to give Eric a call. I think Eric can help you over there at Daily. Thank you, Eric. I saw you on the call. And, you know, flip them over to somebody that could help them. But otherwise, here's the date. Here's the date that we're working toward. Now, this is what we need to get there. And he's like, okay. He's got his pen and paper out. So I'm going to send you a link to our full-blown application. What's your email address there, John? Great. And so this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to send you the link to the application. And when can you complete that application for me? See, a lot of recruiters say, go online, fill out my application. After they hang up, folks, they might get distracted and forget to do it. Let's take ownership. Let's do the things that create the result that we want. We want a completed application. So I'm going to send him a link to that application. And then I'm going to get a commitment from him. Oh, yeah, when I get stopped later on, I'll fill that out. You'll have it. You may have it before 5 o'clock today. So now, cool. I'll tell you what, John, I'm going to be looking for it. And when I get it, I'm going to get started on it. I'll start running your reports. I'll start verifying your employment. I won't call your current employer if you want me not to do that right now. Oh, no, go ahead. They know I'm looking for a job. They know I've got to leave because I'm moving out of this area. Okay, cool. Well, I'll get started on your application. Why don't you call me tomorrow at 1 o'clock? See, I tell the driver to call me, and here's why. Think, folks, of how many people yesterday that you wanted to talk to. You wanted to give them a call, and the day got done, and you didn't get to because you are slammed. So what I'm doing, I've got phone calls coming at me all day long. I'm loading my system with some calls that I need to receive as well from John, whom I'm working on getting here on the 17th. Somebody asked me once, well, I asked them to call me, so, or how did they say that? I'm going to call them because it shows my commitment to them is what they said. And I said, well, I guess you could look at it as I'm asking them to call me because it shows their commitment to me. That isn't really why I do it, but it is a pretty good sign. I asked them to call me because I get busy doing the things I'm doing with all the other phone calls, and if it's up to me to call them, then it may not happen today, and I don't want that to happen. And they're glad to do it because we're on a plan of action. We're working toward the 17th, and I've got his application. And hey, by the way, if I got done early, I'll call him early. But otherwise, he's going to call me around 1 o'clock. I'll give him an update where we're at, and then I'm going to set another plan. This is what I'm going to do, and this is what you're going to do, and this is when we're going to call and talk again. Folks, this is like the foundation to my entire conversational recruiting technique. If you don't have this piece, the rest of it's a wreck. This is why drivers are hanging up from recruiters and picking up the phone and calling another applicant or another company because they have no reason not to. This plan of action is the commitment. It gets them on a plan with you, and they're willing and wanting to do it. And by the way, if a driver's spouse calls you, do the same thing with her. Wow, tell me a little about John. Where's he been working? What's he been doing? Wow, Julie, I got to tell you, based on what I'm seeing here, I don't see any reason we can't take this next step with John. I mean, it sounds like you guys are wanting to make a change pretty quick. We could work toward the 17th. So this is what I'm going to need from John. A full-blown application. Can you get him to fill that out? And can he call me tomorrow at 1 o'clock? Same type of deal. I had one of my staff call 20 companies, a female experienced recruiter, called 20 companies, said, my husband asked me to call and see if you were hiring drivers. The number one answer she got was, yes, we are. Have him call if he's interested. Folks, we do surveys of drivers that applied to trucking companies and didn't get hired. The number one response we get is, nobody called me. So you see why I say this is the foundation to the entire recruiting process and getting the results you want and the drivers that you need. With that, folks, I do not take lightly everybody that registered for this event. We had over 929 companies registered for the event now, and we're actually all in about 6,000 some odd people now represented across all these companies based on the surveys we're getting. At the end of the webinar here, you'll get a survey. Please fill that out and let us know if you need more information from us on anything, but also how many people listened. And I will send you the discount code for the Workforce Builders Conference. Thanks again to Ron Goode for being on here and telling us about that today. And we will see you live from the WIFCOM next month on June 13th.